he doesn't have his fancy microphone.
I couldn't figure out the AV.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, we have that in common. Are we recording?
That's all right. When I went to the Apple store to buy a new mic and I told the guy like trying to sell it to me, I'm like, I'm an idiot when it comes to technology. So can you like take it out of the box and like physically show me how to hook this up and how it's going to work? And he's like, oh, I've never done this before. I'm like, okay.
He's like, I am a senior in high school. Can you?
It's always funny because like it used to always be like, okay, pretend I'm like a 7-year-old and don't know what I'm doing. Well, they all know what they're doing. So it's pretend I'm 85 and talk me through how to plug this in.
Right, exactly.
Anybody who's practiced with their grandparents on the phone explaining a computer, I think is basically a technological wizard because
Totally.
Right.
you have to guess what they're thinking the whole time.
That's very true.
Well, and you have the patience of a saint. I would imagine in the AV world, you have to have a lot of patience because, I mean, you are dealing with a ton of stupid people.
Me. You're dealing with me.
No,
The planners and the clients.
it's not stupid people. It's just it's a foreign language to so many. I mean, even within the industry, so much of what we do is a foreign language to each other, like
Sure.
per discipline and things. And especially now when we're trying to be a lot more creative of things, like on designs and elements and things, it means the pre-production of all of that, including like normally presenters put together a PowerPoint presentation. They all look the same, but it's like now everyone's like, I want it to look cooler. I want to do this. And like no one can figure out how to actually put it together
Sure.
to let it happen. So yes, it's not all stupidity. It's just
Right.
changing landscape quickly.
Right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Tune in next week for another.
Done. That's it.
That's it.
Old people and dumb people is what we talked about today.
Okay. I've been practicing this,
Yes. The guest introduction.
the guest introduction.
Nice.
So on today's episode, I'm so happy to have Sean Denny of Luxe Productions, which is you guys do so much.
Mhm.
You're like AV, production, design, and I'll let you tell everybody what you do. But what I love, so I don't have to, but what I love, my favorite thing is you started in Rockford, Illinois. And no disrespect to Rockford, Illinois, but it's this tiny little city in Illinois. And you've become this big old thing. And I love that. I love stories like that. So, okay, how did I do? Was that better?
Yeah, that was better.
Great.
I did look at your website before you hopped on today, Sean, but there was just so much stuff on there that it said you guys did that I was like, ain't nobody got time for this, especially me. So I'll just let him tell me what he does.
Yeah. Says the woman who writes 8-hour emails.
Well, that's why I don't have time to look at his website. I'm too busy writing the emails.
Hi, Sean.
Hey everyone, my name is Sean Denny, and I'm a production designer for Luxe Productions. And then you do like a fun little doo-doo-doo cute theme song thing.
Oh, I could try to do that.
You should.
Do you want like are you really into something?
No, but I'd love a weird like jingle to happen after something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm into it. Okay, so now we know what you do, and we're going to dive in further.
Right.
But first, what are you drinking?
So I was excited for this. So I have to go get it because it's presentational. I was coming up with a new word. That was presentatory. I'm going to use, but yes, you're going to have to give me like 30 seconds, but I think it'll be worth it. Okay.
Yeah.
Megan will also put in that little sound effect again.
Oh, yeah. I'll do more jingles.
When he says presentatory.
I think I can do that.
You should still be able to hear me now.
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay, great.
So don't say anything bad about us.
I'll try not to.
I had that happen at a wedding one time where the groom was hooked up to the mic before the ceremony and he started making fun of who he was getting married to.
I think I was at that. Wasn't it the jerk?
Well, okay, you can say that. That's not going to disclose anything.
It's not, but I remember I did a wedding with you once and he was a jerk and he was mic'd up and they started fighting up at the altar. Do you remember that?
Oh, that was different then.
Yeah. And we were in the back and because we were like with the videographer and we were like, they're fighting while the priest is like blessing Jesus's body.
Oh my God.
$10 they're divorced. $10. I can say that I'm divorced, so I'm allowed to say that. Yeah. I liked her a lot.
Yeah.
Period. I'm not going to say anything. I don't even remember their names.
Yeah, you do. You're probably friends with her.
Friends with everyone. It's a good problem.
Take a drink. I know I have a problem. I was at a networking event on whatever day, and I deal with my social anxiety by being way too open.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I like met 3 new people, and I was like, "Do you want to know what my therapist told me today?" And then I'm like, Why can't I just be normal?
Why can't you be normal and get drunk when you're nervous like everybody else?
Well, I do that too, and then I'm just like, I want to hear out my vulnerable shame. Okay, here we go.
Right. So today it is a smoked Negroni.
Wait, a smoked Negroni? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Cool.
Is that like at your office?
Yes.
Cool.
Can I come work at your place?
I mean, it is my home.
Oh, that's even cooler.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome to.
Yeah, we'll record live.
Right in the second bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm on my last little bottle of rum chata. I am going to tag them this time.
Yep.
Yes, please, because if we can just get them to send us a few bottles of rum chata, we will feature rum chata. Is there a rum chata jingle we could throw in or something?
Just keep using the same jingle throughout the whole episode.
Yeah.
So mine is espresso with rum chata and some cream and then some like coffee liqueur that I had.
Did you make that up yourself?
I did.
Cool.
Yeah. So brought to you unofficially.
I made up mine myself, but it's trashy like normal. It's
vodka and orange juice.
excuse me. This is a mango pineapple juice that my daughter had at the
Ooh.
grocery store. So it's a little bit more fancy. But yeah, there's vodka in it.
On brand.
If I can say the Negroni brought to you by Aviation Gin.
Oh, there we go. We'll tag them too.
Mm.
Come on, Ryan. I could use a couple extra bottles.
Yeah. Okay. I'll plug that.
Ryan Reynolds, come on, pull through for us.
He could use all the
It's true.
publicity he could get.
He could use the planner's passport.
That's his ticket out.
We got you, Ryan. But just like 3
Oh my
bottles of
gosh.
aviation gin would be great. Is it gin?
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Please tag Ryan Reynolds. Please.
I will. For sure.
Okay.
I know that ice cubes have been a situation in previous episodes. I kept an ice cube and it's a giant one, so if it makes a noise, it's usually really loud. So I'm just letting you know.
Yeah. Those big ones are fancy. I had a wedding one time where the family was like obsessed with ice, and we had not only many different ice sculptures, but we had to use those larger ice cubes in the cocktails.
Have you ever branded the ice cubes for a couple?
No, but that would be cool too. Well, do you think guests would notice? Is the effort worth? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's the right kind, if you're doing like proper drinks that are like below the square cubes and they brand the top of it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then the drink is really small on the bottom, so you actually see it when you get the drink. So it's a little more presentational.
Oh, right. I see.
It's not a vodka mango.
It's not a vodka
Generally.
mango.
Can I get a vodka mango on the rocks? I had a wedding a couple weeks ago. I don't know what month it is. 3 months ago, where we branded the citrus.
Oh, I love that.
So like on an old fashioned, you know, where you put like a twist of, we get like very small
Yeah,
fire burned.
I love that.
It's cool.
that is cool.
Hire a fresh event if you're rich.
We'll brand your lemons.
Yeah. Sky's the limit, just like Ryan Reynolds' career. Okay.
Okay.
Now our next order of business before we all get further into what you do is, you know, it's time for your pet peeve.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I can't wait. So take it away.
So I did go possibly a little deep on this one.
Oh,
Okay, cool.
Yeah. But to me, my biggest pet peeve is vendor mindset.
okay.
And when vendor mindset doesn't align with the job that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have any like specific examples that come to mind without naming names?
Yeah, I mean, not specific, but a couple, yeah, without naming names. No, the couple elements are, I feel like there's people now where you've done it for so long, done it so many
Mhm.
times, that it's just another event for you, and you kind of have lost the magic. And so you start to zone out of the things that you think you know are normal for an event. And then when things switch up on you, you're just not prepared or ready to go. Same goes for when you're also the kind of person, or you've gotten to the point where you're just like, care so much about your element of it that you're ruining other elements of the event because you're so focused on what you do or what you've only been paid to do
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not there to help make the event what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a mindset of person that can change over time, but there's also, it's two mindsets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the indifference.
I think to build on that, there's also the element of the vendors who, when you want to do something that's different or outside the box, their default is to say no, not because they can't, but because it would take more work to learn something new or more effort to do it. That drives me insane.
Yep, I deal with that on a ridiculous level. Sometimes, within our industry, and
Oh, yeah.
people are like, "You can't do that." No, we can do
Right.
that.
Yeah.
We're going to figure out how to do that.
Right.
Sean and I have worked an event together back in September, and we had a whole conversation about this because I was frustrated as a planner because I am doing what needed to be done to still love my craft, which is scale way back.
Mm-hmm.
I could no longer produce at the level I was because it was not fair to anybody. So I scale way back so that I can bring that creativity, thinking outside of the box. And so he and I had a whole conversation about that because I would take things to vendors and be like, let's talk about it. And I would just get a proposal that was like, bleh, and I'm like, this is nothing. You've done nothing. You've helped me get nowhere, which is frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Because even after doing this for as long as we all have, I'm not an AV and design and decor. I'm not a caterer. I'm not any of these things. And it's also nice to have a safe space to come and just talk, like to be like, this might be a dumb idea if we start to work out the logistics, but just like brainstorm with me.
Right. Because then you might come up with something else that does work.
Yeah. So it's just a lack of like willingness to collaborate and dream and think. And it's like, we'll pay you for it,
Yeah.
We'll give you money to do it. I don't know what the problem is. So yeah, that's one of mine too. Okay, let's go on.
Now we're all deep thinking.
I know.
Like reflecting on our lives.
You need to play the jingle right now.
Oh, God.
Okay. All right. So I love your story. Let's hear it.
Yes.
Tell us how you got into this.
Sure.
How you got involved with Luxe and how you got, Luxe where it is now.
Great. I'll do the as close to an abridged version as I can.
Love it.
With full life story. Great.
With jokes in between.
With jokes. We'll see. You can't pressure on the jokes.
I know. I love to pressure people.
It's going to be very serious. Background in all of this is just from a young age. I've always loved music and I've always loved tinkering with electronics. That was just kind of a standard in two realms of that. My dad's huge into music and electronics, and it just kind of, I was around that all the time and it kind of made sense. So when I was young in grade school, I got into the idea of DJing, and starting in the 5th grade, I started DJing my own school dances.
Yeah.
Yep, with CD players and old speakers I got at a garage sale.
Yeah.
That's so wholesome.
That grew year over year to being a relatively legitimate DJ by senior year of high school.
Yeah.
Right around senior year, I was connected by a mutual friend with Jordan, who's the owner and founder of Luxe. He had been doing his own thing, had decided to get into wedding DJing, and so kind of mentored me throughout that summer, senior year of high school.
Are you willing to share the year, what year this was about?
Yeah, that was 08.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
For anyone who wants to do math on how old he is, I'm just kidding. That's not why I asked.
I'm old enough that when I was tinkering with things, it was VCRs that I was playing with.
Yeah. CDs really gave it away, but
CDs were new. It was cassettes and VCRs when I started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so senior year of high school is when that happened. Then went off to college. I did my first year at UW-Madison, or UW-Milwaukee, sorry. Forgot where I went.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did 1 year at UW-Milwaukee.
That's where I graduated from.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Megan went to Marquette.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I had good friends at Marquette. That was a fun year.
Did they live in the beer can?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He did.
Yes,
yep.
Everyone lived it. Was that just the freshman dorm? It must have been.
It was the freshman dorm, but there were freshmen in other dorms too.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, okay.
But yes, yeah, he was at the beer camp. So, and during that time, I would actually drive back to Rockford on the weekends to DJ weddings. So my college gig was doing that A year later, I went down to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, which is about a 3-hour drive from Rockford, and continued doing the same thing. So about half the weekends plus, I'd be driving back to Rockford on a Saturday to DJ weddings.
That's a big commitment for a college kid
Yeah.
Yeah.
to leave on the weekends all the time.
Yeah, it is.
I would do a lot of it single day. So I would leave at like 6 in the morning, drive up to Rockford, pick up gear, DJ the wedding, tear down, drop off gear back at our shop, and then drive back down to Champaign.
Yeah.
So they were usually 24 plus hour days for me.
Mm-mm.
That is something only a 22-year-old can do, by the way.
I can't do that now. There's not a chance in the world. No.
You couldn't pay me enough.
So that continued on, basically continued on throughout schooling, graduated. My wife graduated, went to grad school. So I stayed on there for another 2 years, again, doing the same thing, driving back. And then we started
What's your degree in?
agricultural engineering.
Interesting.
That's right. I went to school to be a farmer.
Interesting.
Huh?
Mhm.
Okay, can we time out for a second?
Yeah.
How did you, why? Curious.
So it's fun to quickly say farmer. Ag engineering is the umbrella, but it was alternative energies. So at the University of Illinois, they focus a lot on, biofuels and biomass to create energy, but they also had programs for solar and wind. So I actually went for those kind of things. We had an offsite of situation where we actually built a house, sent it to Washington, D.C. on the National Mall, and competed against 20 other schools as to who could be the coolest, most efficient house that could basically live alone off the grid.
Cool.
And so that was kind of a main element of what I did there. So yeah, that ag engineering is the quick, easy. I'm a farmer, but
clearly during the Obama administration.
yep, they don't do that anymore.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
They sure don't. Now the competition is like, what house can use the most energy and oil? And yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So needless to say, when I graduated, I ended up not using my degree. My wife and I moved to Chicago, and I kept DJing for Luxe. And at that point, Jordan and I had started to have conversations about, we wanted to get better at the look of DJing. It was, the standard, like flashy lights, 2 speakers forever. And we were like, no, it's got to be better than that. So, we kind of pressured into getting more production elements involved and growing that side of it. And then I'm going to mess up the years, I think, but 2014-ish, 2016-ish is when Jamie came into the picture. He's now also co-owner
Oh, hi, Jamie.
Co-owner of Luxe with Jordan. And so he was the one that kind of really helped ramp us into production only, especially in Chicago. He had a strong mindset of not DJing in Chicago. It was a very heavily diluted market, and we had been building this production side, and so he really pioneered the idea of let's not DJ, let's go full production. And that's where my mindset was starting to turn. I was hitting, as Jen knows, the burnout phase of that. I think I just completed 58 weddings in a year on back-to-backs. So I'd done a quad wedding weekend, which was probably the tipping point.
Gross.
And to that point, it was
God.
becoming more of a chore, less exciting. And by the time you're on your 4th wedding, you kind of just don't care about it. And I was not okay with that mentality.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I did continue DJ. I had contracts to fulfill, and I still enjoyed the craft of it. So I did keep doing that for a couple of years while we were building production in Chicago. That finally ended probably 2018 or so. It was probably my last official wedding DJ job. And yeah, we started building production in Chicago, and that's kind of been where everything is kicked off to now be production focused.
And that's probably, I'm going to say, I met you. So the only reason I work with Luxe, started to work with Luxe, is probably 2018. I met you.
Yeah.
At a networking event. Sean is stylish. So he walks in with another very stylish man. Like they just walk in and you're like, what is that? Who are they? Or whatever that song is. And we started talking, and you were good at selling what you were doing. And I was at a place where I was about ready to jump into the next market. I was kind of topping out where I was at, and I was ready to, right before COVID. But then I was like, I'm going to work with them.
Pretty much.
That's how I've scaled, I think, my whole company is I have okay, I want to work with them. Now, how do I do that? Now I'm just going to budget for that so that it happens. And that's how my couple's budgets got bigger. But it was when you meet somebody who does it well, who wants to collaborate, who's expanding on what they're providing, you're like, yeah, it excites you.
Yeah.
As a planner.
Yeah.
So There's people listening that probably, are in the stages of getting married and who are not wedding vendors. So can you elaborate a little bit more on what wedding production is?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Everybody knows what a DJ does.
Everyone knows what a DJ does. So the production, in my mind, comes down to what you hear, the lighting, and then anything suspended above your head, generally, is what we're going to take care of. Staging, draping, those are all auxiliary elements of production. And what I love now is it's also kind of become a gray area as to what's production, what's design, what's decor, because it was such a split thing for so long that you had a decor company, you had an AV company, you had a DJ. They wouldn't talk to each other. They'd all show up on site. And we've seen how many photos of speakers on sticks in the middle of a room. You've got some weird light bar that's the wrong color on something. And that was something that, we'll get back into. But yeah, that was an element that I didn't like. So production, sorry, back to that, is essentially the audio, the lighting, and then rigging is what I would consider, especially for a wedding.
I'm going to throw in a bonus pet peeve because it just really got me going. Go to vendor final walkthroughs. I know not every market does this, okay? But in Chicago, it is not easy to just pull up your car, unload your gear, right? Like, it's not. And also, at least at the level of weddings that I'm producing, they are full-on productions.
I was going to say, not every wedding is the level of needing those things.
But it still should be. Yes, I would argue that too, because you're creating a team. And that team should know each other before they walk into the wedding day. And, I think that's important.
I agree. It's just the Milwaukee market is so much smaller that there's weddings where we know each other and we work together all the time. And I don't want my clients telling me that we have to do this every single time when we don't need to.
That's fair.
I think a final production meeting is key. So even if it's on Zoom, you talk through what everybody's providing. When you're loaded, like, I know you guys send out incredible spreadsheets and, planner docs of all of that, but having that virtual call with everybody, and you can, because that's when those quick little elements of like, oh, I forgot about that venue to do that thing. That's where all of that gets cleared up, even if it's venues you've worked in 1,000 times with vendors you've worked with 1,000 times.
Right. And the client doesn't have to be a part of this. So I often won't have the client on those calls because I just want to talk shop the whole time. And I'm doing it on behalf of the client. They know that.
Right.
But I think it is. It's you've never done this exact wedding with this exact team in this. It's like every wedding's different. So it's just the mentality of, we've talked about this, Megan, when they don't read the timeline. So if you do a production meeting, guess what? They've read it. And they can ask their dumb questions, 3 weeks out and not on the day of. So anyways, back to that's my pet peeve.
And honestly, that is, I don't know, but that is a piggyback from my pet peeve. It's kind of that mentality of like, everyone thinks they know what they're doing. And it's that, we're working together on this event. It's a group of vendors. You're not doing each your own thing. You should be helping each other out. The amount of times me and my team, and I pressure my team to do this, are doing things that are out of our purview, setting place settings, putting flowers in vases. Like, we're all there to make sure that wedding looks as perfect as it possibly can in photos and for that client. And whether it's your job or not, it's our job to make that wedding happen in some capacity. So that's my big pressure. And when you know what everyone else is doing, it does help set your mentality for that as well.
And that's why when we work with Luxe, I will get Jamie all of the coffees he needs whenever he needs it. Because that's how he works. I'm like, you need a coffee? I'll get you coffee. You want a little snack? I'll bring you a snack.
Sounds like my 10-year-old.
At the event we did together in September, we had headsets and only, I think, Jamie and I ended up wearing them. And it was so fun. I'd be like, what are you doing?
That, by the way, is an entire podcast all on its own, is recordings of comms from special events.
Yeah.
That is honestly what I look forward to on events, are those comms. And so if we started recording them, it would be, that's a whole bucket of worms to open right there.
Oh, man. Okay. So you get us up to 2018, 2019.
Yep.
And then, dun, dun, dun. Oh, I don't know. What happens next?
Oh, I thought you knew something I didn't about what we did. I was so excited to learn what we did in 2018. So I would say, yeah, around 2018, that's when we're starting to push production. And honestly, I was living downtown Chicago at the time. So my job was to network and attempt to figure out how in the world we're going to find business for something we don't really do yet, and aren't really versed in how to do yet. And so that's what it was, doing networking. I got connected with an awesome person, Ramsey Prince. I'm not sure if you know him.
That was the other guy that the two of you walked
Yeah.
in.
Oh, I wish you had a picture.
Showstoppers.
Well, absolutely incredible designer. Was working for with a florist at the time who only did floral, and he was really pushing bigger production and everything like that. And their team wouldn't do those aspects of it, and so that was kind of our first inroads into this kind of collaboration of design and production, to where some of it was just uplights and pin spots that we were providing, but then he wanted cool things in the ceiling, which meant we had to dive into rigging. They weren't comfortable in that, and just side pet peeve, if you don't know about rigging, please don't hang anything over anybody's heads. I don't care how heavy it is or not heavy it is. If you don't have full understanding of weights and rigging, please don't hang anything over anyone's head.
Jen, have you ever had anything fall?
No.
Like from the ceiling?
On purpose, yes, but not on purpose.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't either. I was just curious.
I've witnessed it happen.
Really?
No, not
Yeah.
okay at all.
Not okay.
Oof.
Well, I think that's why so many venues now only allow certain people to come in and do that, because it's people they trust or understand where the rigging points are. And
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's a lot of math and a lot of pre-figuring out, even if it is just flowers over your head.
Yeah.
right.
Flowers do add up.
Back.
Yeah, we haven't done a floral episode yet.
No, we need to.
That'll be enlightening.
Yeah.
Anyways, so continue.
So starting working with him, and that's really where we kind of got our start. I find that, my brain works in a really, really weird way, in that it's both creative and very technical, which I understand is a very foreign thing to a lot of people. I don't think I'm incredible at either one of them, but I have a really good connection between the two in this kind of mid-level. So for me, it's really easy to see the vision of what he wanted with what's hanging where and the way it needs to look, and then quickly jumping to the tech side and going, if I use these light fixtures in these locations with these elements, it's going to give the look and feel that they want. And I think that's really where we've jumped and grown, is taking that designer's concept or what's in their head and making sure it comes into reality on the event. Because I'll say it like a broken record, but lighting is absolutely everything.
Yes.
It doesn't matter how many hundreds of thousands of dollars you put into floral design decor. If it's not lit properly or not lit at all, no one's going to see it. It's going to look bad. And that's just horrible. So side note to brides, if you want your wedding to look amazing, please use lighting.
Yeah.
Whether that's from your DJ or from the hotel or from a different company. Lighting, I think, especially for your photos and everything else, that's really what's going to make the difference in your space.
Yeah, that's part of the reason we wanted to have you on here too, is because of that's what Megan and I believe. And it's something you learn as you go, because I would say it's not how I started. Well, different budgets and different events, but to your point, it's like, if you're not working with somebody who does both, be getting a quote from your florist, ask who they work with for lighting and draping and things of that nature, and get a quote for that too, so that you're making sure you have the money to do it, and so that what you are investing in one area works. And then Megan and I also just believe lighting is it can create the most magic.
Do you have a favorite thing that you've ever done lighting focused that comes to mind, Sean?
That's a really great question.
Well, I don't know if this is lighting, but I missed Wish Upon a Wedding last year, and didn't you do some cool stuff there?
So yeah, kind of with lighting, and I think this is maybe a little more techie nerdy, but one of my favorite things that I ever did, we did this corporate event. So big stage, screen left, right, but behind the screens, their whole design was this beautiful gradient, this bluey green gradient. That doing a gradient on a big wall, the wall itself that we were doing the gradient on was probably 50 foot by 12 foot. So big wall gradient. To do that with lighting really well is incredibly difficult, because you get all these hot spots with lights, and to do everything perfect, it's rough. So I actually used a gigantic LED video wall behind some frosted plexi to create this gradient. And for AV people, all they think about is big video wall, big video production. I used it for lighting. And then I actually used a projector and screen in front of that for the actual video, which again, for AV people, is probably a little like doesn't comprehend
Yeah.
situation that I used the video wall for lighting and then the projection for video. I loved how it turned out because it got me the exact lighting effect that wouldn't really be possible any other way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in Wishbone Wedding, probably another great example, I really love using AV elements in ways they were never supposed to be used. So, if you did see photos from Wishbone Wedding, we had this amazing LED video wall in the ceiling and down the backdrop. And on our walks and talk throughs, we partnered with Atmosphere Event Group, and I told them I want them to cover the whole thing in draping
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
because you have these beautiful photos now from the beginning of the event where you don't see any AV, which is what I love. And then for party mode, Jen, as you know, whole ceiling lights up. You have this incredible wow moment and flip, and the AV gets to shine through at that point. But we're not taking away from everybody's photos and everything ahead of time by this, like, yeah, it may be really cool for tech guys, but no one else cares what we have or what we're doing. Like, it's ugly stuff. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
really ugly stuff.
it
So
is.
whatever I can do to hide it, that's, I mean, for the past couple of years, that's been my number one push is I want everything I do to be hidden. I don't want anybody to see a single thing that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never, even myself, it took me a long time to even think through speaker placement, like you said, because you're not, I'm a really good planner, but there's a lot of things that you're just like, yeah, there has to be speakers, right? So like,
Right.
what am I supposed to do? And then you start to realize like you can think about where they're placed and how they're hidden or not going to be in every photo.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's forcing that creativity because you deal with a lot of AV guys that are like, there's only one way to do it. They do all their math, they do all their things. Speaker has to go in this location. And to some extent, yes, for
Mhm.
optimal audio placement, there is an exact location that's probably best. However, let's flip that. And are there other places we can do it, add more speakers, do more things, and still get a really, really good sound and coverage out of it? Maybe it's not 100%, it's 99%. But I promise you, no one on the dance floor will know the difference between the two. And you've now cleaned up the entire space. I think I'll do another quick little fun bit. We did this event in Ohio with HMR. We were in a tent, and around the poles, they created these trees out of driftwood branches. But this gorgeous green and white wedding, which was better than any green and white wedding I've seen in a long time. These gorgeous trees with these, wood bases to them. And so I found these speakers that are like 6 foot long, they're an inch or two square, and they're flexible. So I covered them in a brown fabric and wound them in the tree
Oh, wow.
so
Cool.
that they look like a branch in the tree.
Yeah.
And people that we tell their speakers and everything like that, they still can't find it in photos. It's that integrated. And so it's things like that that get me super excited.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the highest fidelity situation, but for what it needed to do, it did its job.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing that people get caught up on so much is they're looking at tech specs and not real world. And what can we do to just make everything about this better, not just our little element?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I'm hearing that too, and thinking about just like as a planner, honestly, so much of what we're providing for our clients, they don't even know. Even
That's the point.
even now thinking where speaker placement is and knowing that's a discussion I have to have, like so much we do, the client isn't aware of, but like that's the point. You want to have a wedding where you don't have any notes, no notes.
Yeah. Binders.
Binders of notes. But yeah, I mean, it's like nobody knew that the speakers were wrapped around the tree trunk, but we did.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I wasn't there. You did.
What they knew is that it looked beautiful and there wasn't anything sticking
Right.
out. And I think to me, when you get all your photos back from a wedding, if they didn't have to Photoshop the photos for things,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the ultimate goal. Like everything about this photo looks beautiful and we don't have to take anything away.
Well, the photographer was happy.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like at least for me, and maybe because this is what I like, but documentary photography is like really, really popular. And I think it's just going to get more popular with the younger people coming through. But even still, like actually I met with this great woman. I actually want to have her on the show, but she does posing classes for couples because she's like, everyone wants documentary photography, but they still want their photos to come back and have them look like they were supposed to be in that position,
Mm-hmm.
and not feel, and I'm like, yes, like that is it's so a part of this. It's like, go have a session with her, learn how to do a few couple of poses so you feel comfortable. And anyways, okay. So Now it's Q&A.
So you guys are based in Chicago. Do you do
Mhm.
most of your work in Chicago, or you are all over now?
Oh, we didn't finish my story fully.
Oh, okay.
The personal side of my story is that so we were moved to Chicago, lived down there for a while, and my wife and I love cities. We've been downtown Chicago, but we've been in Illinois our entire lives. Both of our families are from Illinois, born and raised in Illinois, and there's a part of both of us that I've always known we needed to go somewhere different, if not just to see.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us who both really enjoy cities, if you're talking about going to another big city, there's only one choice, and that's New York. And so we had talked for many years about it being a possibility of moving to New York. And I credit Stephanie, my wife, about this, but she had been pushing like we just have to do it at some point, right?
Mhm.
And so we had decided we're going to move to New York. This is 2019, I believe, that we decided. I had the fun sit down with Jamie and Jordan to let them know, hey, I'm moving to New York. I don't want to stop working with and for Lux. I think it's incredible. So, is there a world in which this can happen? We talked through all of that and what the implications are. Kind of came to a deal. And so in 2020, in April, we drove out to New York. Coincidentally, that was the same day that COVID officially shut everything down. So we drove into New York with not a soul around.
Oh my gosh. That would be
Which
so
means we
weird.
didn't get a parking ticket for unloading in front of our building, which is great. But yes, nobody there. Long story short, where we're at now, that was maybe the biggest blessing that could have ever happened for how horrific it was, at least personally, because everyone went virtual. And so Lux pivoted. We did webinars and virtual AV things like every other company did. And what kind of came out of that somehow, and I'm not sure where this emanated from, was our travel side of business. We had done one or two travel shows a year, usually in Detroit. It's a quick drive for us, and Jordan has some great contacts around the country. And so we do occasional events around the country. And somehow through COVID, it turned out that we turned into much more of a travel company.
That's
And
awesome.
so all of a sudden, my being in New York was no longer a burden to the company
Mm-hmm.
because everyone had to get travel. So whether you're coming from Chicago, New York, California, it didn't matter. You had to go somewhere for the event. And so I would say now, maybe not half, but at least a third of our events are outside of Chicago and Rockford, which is crazy. The vast majority of our large scale events are not in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so
And you do international.
we now do international, which is incredible
Mhm.
as well. Obviously, much less on the production side, a little bit more on the thought side of things. But yeah, so that's been an incredible change. So since 2020, I've been in New York, working remote. The rest of our team is in Chicago. All equipment is housed in Chicago. But we've built these incredible partnerships with clients that travel us throughout the states, which is absolutely incredible. So yeah, we've been to countless states now. I mean, I'll be in 5 different states in
Oh my
February, which
gosh.
is incredible between walkthroughs and actual events. But yeah, we've had this
Wow.
incredible change in growth, which is really, really cool. So that's where I'm at now. Yeah,
Thank you, COVID.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know if we really need the hashtag thank you COVID to start trending, but that seems a little dicey.
Yeah, I think too soon.
Yeah.
Too soon.
I think it just goes to show, if I've learned anything over the past 5 years of my life, is some of the coolest things come out of the most shitty things.
Yep.
And when you're going through the shitty things, you do have to adapt. You do have to change. You can't just like sit, unfortunately. But if you're willing to do that, a lot of really cool things come from it.
And again, massive credit to Jordan and Jamie, who pioneered the idea that like we needed to keep people on as long as humanly possible, keep people pushing and trying. This wasn't a like take your hand out and give up kind of
Mhm.
thing. It was like, how in the world are we going to make it through this
Mhm.
and be better on the other side? They
Yeah.
did some incredible work on the back end to make that happen. And again, out of a horrific situation, we've flourished to a point we never would be in this position had it not been for that, which is terrible and wonderful to think about.
Mhm.
Are they all jealous now that you're in New York and you probably get to do some really cool shit in New York?
No, they're not jealous at all.
No.
I don't think anybody's jealous of me in New York. And weirdly, we've only done one major event in New York. So
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Was it for Ryan Reynolds? Aviation Jen.
it was not for Ryan Reynolds.
Where does he live? Do you think he lives in LA?
I have no idea where Ryan Reynolds lives.
Well, we'll find out when his PR company reaches out. I'll let you know.
He's going to respond directly to our Instagram feed with his specific address.
I also use Mint Mobile, so come on, Ryan. I've got all your bits and pieces here.
Yeah. I'm going to tag Mint Mobile. I'm going to tag Deadpool. I'm going to tag Ryan. I'm ready.
Well, and if they need any help on their events that they're hosting or putting together,
Yeah.
like you got a friend right here.
Yeah. I won't say anything that I don't know, but you do celebrity events, so that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Just throwing it out there.
And he's very discreet. I have no idea who it is, so hire them. They're great. Although I want to be hired for some of them to assist. I could be Jamie's coffee gal.
I'll just be the headphone lady.
The headphone, just walking around. We've done at least a handful of high-profile events for high-profile personnel, and those are my favorite and least favorite at the same time. Like, honestly, when you're in those situations, they're really incredible people. I've not had a bad interaction with a high-level person, whether that be athlete, singer, CEO, anybody, and we're with them in their most intimate time. We're the ones backstage sticking a mic down their shirt.
Yeah. Warming your hands up a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're in some weird positions on things, and so they've all been incredible. But yeah, it's the ones I can't talk about that are always the most fun. But I'm also okay with that. It was hard for me to get over that for so long, especially in industry. It's all about the photos you're posting. We're in that new thing, and I've gotten to the point in life now where I would much rather get to do those events than talk about it to you one-on-one in private and get to explore that than post about it everywhere.
Totally.
Right.
I feel like my Instagram does not live up to the work we do, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, no, it gives you a quiet confidence that it's like.
It really does.
I do D-list celebrity weddings so that I can name drop. Nobody knows who I'm talking about, but
we all know who you're talking about. Ramchata. You've said it over and over again.
And Secret Hitler, have you ever played that game? Married the guy who invented that?
Oh my gosh, that's one of our favorite games. We used to play that all the time.
And I'm allowed to say that because I didn't have to sign an NDA.
I know nobody else that has played Secret Hitler. That is incredible.
They gifted me like a collector's edition, so I'll bring it to the next event we work together.
Yeah, now we can play it.
Yeah, and people will be like, "What are you playing?" And we'll be like, Secret Hitler. Like, maybe not. Maybe we should wait.
Too soon.
Exactly. Yeah. I married a BuzzFeed famous couple.
Oh, cool.
So that's the other thing. Actually, when I used to have somebody, Rachel, she used to work for me.
Yeah.
I would tell her about my consult. And I didn't ever Google anybody's name or anything, but she would. And she'd be like, "Do you know who you just did a consult with? The guy who invented Secret Hitler." And I'm like, "What is that?" So anyways, that's fun for me.
I Google people. I do a lot of internet snooping on the personnel for the event, but it's usually not in that way. It's to figure out what kind of things do they like, what kind of events have they been to, honestly, what their budget could really be based on the snooping that you do on it, and what they're maybe willing to go for or not go for on things. So I do a lot of snooping on personnel, but I don't really care who I'm doing the event for. I don't
Same.
really get too starstruck on those kind of things.
Megan has also done Milwaukee celebrity weddings, but she can't drop any of the tea. So one day.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we come back into production when she's retired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's, people complain about this sometimes to me, but I have a minor changes in my personality based on the person I'm talking to, right? I think we all do that. Maybe Jen doesn't. You're about the only person that seems pretty straight no matter what.
No, yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm not myself. It's just augmented versions, but it does change based on, especially first impressions, I do think matter a lot. And I will adjust myself a little bit based on what I know about them. I'm never going to be ridiculously outside of myself.
Right.
I'm always going to still treat you like a normal human being, because I think that's key. No matter who you are, you're still a person, right? Whether you have billions of dollars or $10, you're still a person. You should be treated like a person. But I will inflect a little bit, or maybe what I talk about will change a little bit based on the circles you run in. Because if you're making that amount of money, you don't have the same life experience as someone who's making $50,000. So you have to talk to that level in some capacity, because they want to know that you're taking care of them at the level that they're used to.
Right.
And same for those that are making less.
It's a great point, because I think that for me, I'm careful in saying this because I'm more about who the client is than what their budget is. But there's a cap that I'm comfortable with. There is a lifestyle that is still relatable to me, even though I don't live it. And then there is a lifestyle that is not relatable to me. And that makes it hard for me to do my job because I need to, I mean, for me, I need to be able to relate to my clients.
Yep.
So it's like there is kind of a cap at a budget that I'm like, these weddings they have a lot of money, but it's still relatable money, if that makes sense. And then like if a billionaire reached out to me, I'd be like, but did you start out poor? Great. That's fine. But like old money billionaires, I don't think we'd ever really jive. Because I'd be like, oh, I have the same shoes. And they'd be like, no, we don't.
Yeah, but as a wedding planner, we have to connect with our clients on a different level than a lot of other vendors do. So we need to have a different type of relationship as,
of course,
more personal, less business-like. Not that other vendors aren't personal, but it's just a different level.
Yeah.
Especially for you. But I do think, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit more. I mean, for us, having grown up in the wedding industry, DJed weddings my whole life, and now doing quite a bit more corporate, still doing a lot of weddings, but doing a lot more corporate, that does also really help shift your mindset in things because corporate, they're looking at dollars, but it doesn't have an emotional attachment to that dollar. They just know, hey, I have X budget, hit my budget, I'll feel good. For a wedding, every single dollar matters. They're looking, even when you're spending millions on a wedding, you're expecting levels and it's still your wedding. You still want to make sure that arrangement is as big as it can possibly be for the price point. And whether you're willing to spend, 10 grand on an arrangement or 50 on an arrangement, you're going to care about the way it looks and what's in it and everything. And so I think doing a lot of corporates has helped me to kind of shift mindset too and understand how to work a budget properly. And again, we want to make sure it looks amazing. So that just means I'll adjust equipment used to make sure that we're still getting a good effect out of, what may be a smaller budget than others.
Yeah. And I like what you said too. So when you were saying like, I will like research to see what they could potentially do financially, I heard that knowing you, it's not from a like, ooh, ha 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 ha, I know what you can afford.
Nope.
I think it's the mindset of like knowing when to push and when to provide reach options.
Yes.
Which for a long time as a wedding planner, I didn't do. Like I was like, this is their budget. And now I always provide reach. I'm like, here's what we can do with what we put aside. But like, here's some really cool reach things we can do. So you tell me what you want to do. I think for a while I gatekeeped my clients out of protecting them.
Right.
And now I'm just like, that's not my job. Like it is, but it's not. You need to be providing your clients with like options.
Yeah.
And I ask on the onboarding meeting, like, are you comfortable with me doing that? And everyone's like, yeah, yes, please let us know what we don't know.
Yeah. Some people don't know and they just think like, oh, here's my set number.
People never know.
They never know.
Or a lot of people go into it and they don't want to tell you a higher number, even though they can afford it because they're worried you're just going to try to push them to spend more money than they're comfortable with. But I always tell people like, look, if you tell me this is the max, then I guess that's the max. And you're not going to hear these other cool things. So you have to let me have some flexibility if you want to.
Yeah.
Like you just have to be honest with me.
Yeah. Megan and I are straight shooters. That's the one thing we have in common.
We are very straight shooters. Yes.
We're like, look, I don't have time.
No. It's like, well, it's always irritating when you put all the research in to provide quotes for certain things and then they come back and all of a sudden magically more money appears and you have to do double the work. And it's, if they had that the first time, you could have just shown them all the options the first time.
Yeah.
I will say there's something I do that I would call it maybe a gray area in the way that I quote and design events is that compared to I've been seeing a lot more AV companies doing this and hopefully they're doing it with the good intentions that we are, is that I don't line item out every single piece of gear that you're getting because you don't know what Alico is, or maybe you do, but great, but no one cares, or what exact brand and model of speaker. Again, it comes down to that final look. And so when I put a proposal together, I'm designing for the look that you want. So if you want dance floor wash that changes colors and does beautiful things, I'm going to give you a price for that. And then I'll go back and work with my team to figure out what exact bits and pieces and where things need to go to make that happen. And so, I am building out a kind of buffered number to make sure that what you need is accounted for. And I do the same with kind of all the levels, because what I don't want is opportunities before you go, hey, we added 3 tables. We need 3 more pin spots, 12 more uplights. And I'm going, well, here's a bill for $372. No.
Right.
I was just going to say, it allows you then the flexibility to not nickel and dime. And I say that's how I do planning. I'm not line iteming out every hour I work on your wedding, because also I'd have to bill you for my 3 a.m. wake ups and emails.
Right.
The shower thoughts.
I'm not a lawyer like that, but I would do it. Do you need me to go do that? I do it. When I'm doing consults, I say, like, you're paying for me to not have to come back and charge you more. That's the difference here.
Right.
And you're paying for things that you don't know that you need.
Yes.
Because when we started, we used to line item everything out. We get on, especially with like AV, like stuff, you would send it to a planner. They would call out X line items, right? They'd nix those elements. And then you show up on site and guess what they need?
Right.
The things they X'd out. And
Yeah.
so it looked bad on us because it's still an expensive event. You saved $200 on my $12,000 bill. So great. But now the event is not running the way you want it to.
Yeah.
Right.
And I got frustrated with that. So I don't give clients the option to cut things that I know they need, or maybe they intrinsically don't know that they need.
Right.
And that's been a big shift we've had of like, I know you need this for it to look good. So it's built into my proposal. You can't get rid of it because if you do, you'll be unhappy.
Yep.
And I'm not going to let that happen.
That comes with experience for anybody in the event world to get past the point of like just wanting any business so bad that you're willing to say, like, that's why I don't do partial planning anymore.
Same.
Because I'm not going to go through and say, okay, well, I'll cut out this amount because you don't need me to do the hotel block. It's like, no, either we're working together or we're not. And if you try to tell me on the front end what you think you need, you're wrong. You need everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll end up doing it anyway.
Because you'll end up doing the hotel blocks. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave up on partial during COVID because what planners had to do for their clients in 2020 and 2021 was insane.
Yeah.
But there was no way in hell I was going to be like, I'm sorry. So you have partial planning.
Right.
So while we go through this once in a lifetime pandemic, you have to move all your vendors, right? Like, come on. And I'm also not going to charge it, whatever. So that was a lesson for me of like, no, moving forward, I am your planner or I'm not.
Right.
Because who knows what the fuck we're going to go. Pandemic is one thing, but like I go through things with clients that are really surprising. They aren't expecting this to happen. It happens. I'm there. You know, it's just like, let's just do this.
Right.
Let's just be I'm going to join your family for a year. And then I'm going to stalk you for the rest of your life and talk about you on my podcast about how you're having a baby. So like, let's just do this.
Too funny.
Anywho. Well, this was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Before we sign off, I have one more question.
All right.
What is something on your radar that you want to do? What's a goal you have?
Jen's big into manifesting things, and things for her usually get manifested. So we're trying to allow everyone a safe space on this podcast to manifest your wildest dreams.
Yeah, with my magic.
Keep it PG.
Do the sound effect.
Ooh, I think for me right now, it's continuing at the same trajectory and not plateauing. I think that's the big thing for me is we're making logical growth in a way that's attainable and understandable. And so I don't need a gigantic $50 million corporate event tomorrow. But if we can keep building logically at that level. So yes, a continued growth and trajectory in this way to allow me to still be creative and push boundaries in what we're doing, but at an attainable rate in my mind.
And then I'm going to force you to be more specific by asking you if you could do an event in any country. You're getting paid. They call you tomorrow and they are in what country wanting to bring Luxe to do an event there?
I think my ultimate goal would be to do a Lebanese wedding in Lebanon.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
It is out there.
If you've looked at their weddings, it is on a level that is incomprehensible in my mind.
Cool.
All right. It's in the universe now.
And when it happens, let us know.
Great.
And then we'll come and record live.
Tag Lebanon.
At Lebanon.
And then Megan and I will crash that wedding. That's one of what we're trying to manifest. So
Great. I love
hopefully this is a team manifestation.
Yeah.
So if you have one, let us know. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you both for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Sean, so much.
Yeah, you're one of my favorite humans, so this means a lot. And yeah, I don't know how to end episodes either, so.
Jen and I will be in New York City in a couple weeks, and
Wait, are
we'll
you?
go out.
Oh, we're manifesting that?
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll manifest that too.
Well, if you do, you
Okay.
have to let me know. Like, people always are like, yeah, we're going to let you know. No one lets me know.
I used to nanny for this family who I am still a part of their family. The youngest graduates college in May, and he's moving to New York. So I will be out there in the latter half of this year for sure. So Megan, you can come with me.
That'd be incredible. Yeah, let's make something happen.
The last time that I went to New York City, I visited somebody that Jen and I went to high school with, Brad Michelson.
I love Brad Michelson. Does he still live there?
I don't think so. I think he
Oh.
lives outside the city now. He got married and moved outside the city, but he took us on. Well, I was with Jared. He snuck us into these like crazy parties. There was like a red carpet party, some sort of basement party. Then we went to the box and saw this provocative show where some woman was pulling scarves out of her vagina. It was like Perez Hilton was there. It was one of the craziest nights ever.
So Sean, start planning to impress Megan. Good luck.
That is not me. I know where we can get takeout nearby my house, and that's about it.
I can do the scarf chick if you need.
Just a personal show.
Nope, I got it.
Start practicing.
Oh God. Anyways.
Okay, so we'll end on that.
That sounds perfect. Okay. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us again this week. If you have a wedding or travel-related story of your own that you would like us to share in a future episode, send us an email to theplannerspassport@gmail.com.
And be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Planner's Passport and follow all of our travel and wedding businesses, including We Roam Solo, Dare to Dream Travel, and Dare to Dream Weddings. And please, if you enjoy our show, remember to rate, review, and subscribe from wherever you are listening to this podcast.